Hello everybody, this is Codan50 and I just wanted to give you a quick heads up as far as the status to my Half Shock project. I don't know if you can hear the sound in the game. I'm going to pretend like you don't because I really don't want to fix it if you can. But I fixed a major nagging issue with medical level. I built it backwards like an idiot, so now it's built forwards. I also applied all the new tricks and techniques that I learned when I was building maps. So the good news is everything will be on here. In due time, I plan to add custom models. I just plan to change the weapons. I plan to make this a fair recreation of System Shock. But in the meantime, it's just kind of a bare bones structure. It gives me something to do, keeps my mind occupied. And so, a few things that I've done is besides building the actual geometry, I've also been working on things. So as you can tell, I've got a medical bed here, and it actually works. If I was damaged, I could use this to heal myself. I don't know how to do an instantaneous heal, but I do have the ability to change how much it heals, and so I've got it set to an extremely high value. I'm currently working now to see if I can change it so that way it's unlimited healing, but we'll see what happens. I've also got the recharge unit. Same rules apply with the recharge unit. I haven't gotten the lighting worked out entirely yet. I wanted to retain System Shock's lighting, but on the other hand, I also wanted to utilize the engine's like shadows and lighting techniques to try to give it a little bit more of a, I don't necessarily want to say like an eerie feeling, but try to give it more of a, I guess like desolate feeling in that sense. I've also been messing around with trying to put lifts and such in it. It's not perfect yet by any means, but it is here. It does function. It's got this weird delay, which I don't understand why it's doing that, but in either case, I do have the lifts starting to work. I've worked on those a little bit, and this is so far my first actual working one where it's functional. I'm going to see if Gold Source has the ability to do like a trigger that triggers it while still working with switches without constantly going up and down if you stand on it. I can with the Source engine by using like condition checking, but I really can't do that with the Gold Source, so we might be limited on Gold Source. Um, I've also got the crates in here, and the crates do explode when you hit them, and the volume's really loud, and that really hurt my eardrums. I really hope you can't hear the sound because you might want to turn your headphones down if you can. But I've got logs. I've got all of the logs in here. I haven't put any of the emails in yet, and these do have sound when you come across the ones with sound on them. Of course, this one's not sound, but I have all the logs for level 1 put in here. I am working on science level, so I will be able to get science level in here. Instead, I've got various objects that I've been working out. I've also got, I want to thank Mega Brutal for his PDA interface, which allows me to have all of these logs in here. And so I took his original floppy model and I put the disk texture over it, so that way it's using the texture of the disk instead of the original floppy ones that were there. I suppose one of the big things that people are going to want me to talk about is cyberspace, and I'm going to make it simple right now. I'm not talking about cyberspace. Now, as far as the table goes, okay, fine. When I first started working this out, I was trying to figure out how I was going to implement cyberspace, and I had a couple ideas that were available to me. The first one being a System Shock 2 style of cyberspace, and then the second one being a I don't know what you would call the dystopia cyberspace. It's more reminiscent to the cyberspace of System Shock. But in either case, either cyberspace is going to have their own unique set of limitations and issues that we have to work around, specifically because of how unique cyberspace is for System Shock, or at least it's perceptibly unique. I don't know any games that mimic its generalized style. So I have some ideas on how I would like to implement it if possible. I will map all the cyberspace levels for the archives. I will get them in, but they're not going to be accessible until I can figure out a way to make it work. And of course, the table is a little wonky actually because I tried to resize it and mess around with it, and then I broke it, and I don't feel like fixing it right now, which is fine because I actually ended up using another program to dump all of the models out of the System Shock 1's data files. but for some reason they decided to save it as an ASE model format, and I cannot for the life of me find a modeling program, free or paid, that will import the ASE models and allow me to manipulate them in any way. If you know of a program, anything, just convert them out of ASE format into another format. Let me know in the comments, please, because I want to get the models in here, and I've got the original models out of the game. They just need to be done with somehow. So another thing too is I believe I've got all like the little secret alcoves and all of that mapped everywhere. I don't believe I'm missing any of them, but I'm not perfect. So if anybody can think of or if anybody spots like a secret alcove that I don't have mapped, then feel free to go ahead and let me know, and I'll credit you if you can find one. The same thing for all the textures. I'm not counting anything in the things because the things is not ready to go. But I will say that if you can find a texture out of the standard geometry that's out of place, then, like I said, let me know. I'll credit you for finding any textures that are not aligned once I validate them myself. And that'll make everything happy. Now, the crates here, like the coverings, this is mimicking the paper thin effect that System Shock has with its very simplistic engine. And I don't actually have a paper thin poly here because paper thin polys do all sorts of nasty stuff to the game engine, and realistically it does it to any game engine you come across. But I did find a unique way to represent a paper thin like effect, and so that's what I'm going to be using. I've got it here for the grading, and I've got all of the gradings up, but I'm actually working on doing the same thing with the doors. The source engine I've already successfully gotten to work. I'm just trying to simplify it since it's requiring tons and tons of doors to work with animations. But like, let's say if I had a door here, I could actually make this work with the standard medical doors without any kind of a problem. But if you have like an area, let's just say if the door was right here instead, then the same technique would cause it to go through the wall. So I'm having to work out a way to make it not like bleed through the other polys. I've got an idea on how I've got to handle it. It's just I've got 3 different door versions built, all of them that kind of work and kind of don't, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to balance the ones that do work and the ones that don't work to get the doors down. So I've got an idea on how to rig a paper thin door. The only thing is though is the standard medical doors. Those can be done without a problem because they just slide open and they don't have any appearance of textures coming together. But for example, the bulkhead door that goes right over here, it actually has the animation shows, like, I guess you can say, steel going over other steel, so it secures it and closes it, and you can't really simplify that as much. So I've got an idea of what I'm going to do. I might have to bulge it out a little bit to help make it work, but I'm not going to bulge it out too much because, again, I don't want it to bleed through the walls. So hopefully I'll be able to find a good compromise between retaining the paper thin effect and still being able to make the door do what it needs to do. I could always just do with a classic, have the door just move up. It looks kind of cheesy, but that is a solution that would fix all of my problems. I want to try to avoid that cheese effect if I can. So comment below. Tell me what you think I should do with the doors, or if you know of any other techniques that might be able to achieve a paper thin effect. Definitely leave me a note and let me know. And of course with the switches, they just do what they need to do, flip the lights on or off. I don't know if I've also got all the ladders put in here, of course. I don't have that lift in, but I do have a door up there. Actually, do I have cheats on? I'll show you kind of, if I can, an example of what I mean. Obviously this door is locked, so it doesn't do anything. If you try to use it, it comes up. But like in this door right here, where you see that line where the door comes open, I can just split the poly right there to both of them, and then just do a little bit of timing work and have it open and close in synchronous. I've already done it, and so I'm hoping that I'll be able to make it work even better. I guess I have an older map build on here. I didn't realize that. I also need to change the texture on that one. Not the texture, but the way it's being rendered, because it's supposed to be solid, so that way it affects with lighting. But yeah, I guess this is a little bit of an older map. I guess I forgot that I had an updated one on there. I had to fix a few problems with it. So, try to make sure I don't hurt myself here. as far as the lighting goes, one of the things I wanted to try to do is make the lighting feel like it works for the level, not just, full brighted, of course. And I also don't really have the flexibility to recreate System Shock's official lighting. Besides the fact that a lot of the ability to blink the lights don't work in the same way that they do in System Shock, so they just come off looking odd. The other thing, too, is almost like the way that the light fills, it's very short. And if you try to use like a small lighting in something like Gold Source or the Source Engine, then you just end up having a really bright spot. I have tried moving the light source away, or the actual light entity away from the light source to try to fix it, but then it just comes off looking really dark, and it's kind of grating looking to look at. I don't know. I guess I'm just picky about it, so I decided that's one of the exceptions where I'm probably going to end up using the ability of the engine and manipulate the lighting to the engine's limitation. But if the circumstance comes around and I have the ability to see where all of the lights are supposed to be, then I'll probably end up putting all the lights where they're supposed to be as part of the just part of the archives. And then for my personal mod here, I'll put them in place where it seems like they would work the best. That way you've got the best of both worlds, and if you really want the original lighting, at least the light sources where they are in the game, then you can just download that one and compile that one instead and play with that one. I don't know if anybody's going to care too much. It's really not that big of a deal. But the other thing too is, of course, I don't want to put a light source where there's not an actual light. And where there's a light, you also want to make sure it looks like it kind of belongs. So I put the light where the fixture is, just because that way it kind of comes together. And of course, all of these lights are all burnt out, so I'm giving them that burnt out effect. One thing, I don't know if anybody else has the same effect, but I cannot stand a pitch black map. And actually, there's a few dark areas I'll show you. I've actually got, I have to turn this on. I've actually got like an ambient lighting, a very low level ambient lighting, so that way it's not pitch black anywhere, because I cannot stand a pitch black map. But the other thing that I cannot stand is a harsh contrast between dark and really bright. It kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, so I tried to add a little bit of lighting, I guess flooding in from this side as well as the light over here to help keep that glaring, extremely bright off-on blinking from occurring. Fortunately, it wasn't really avoidable right here because this light does blink in System Shock, and I want to keep some semblance of the lighting effect from System Shock. But I don't know. I'm going to tinker around with it a little bit more, see if I can help get rid of that really dark and bright alternation, because it just kind of hurts my eyes. I don't know if anybody else has the same problem. Obviously, I've got more boxes over here, even bigger boxes over here, still filled with absolutely nothing. It'd be kind of fun to get a mod that allows me to put not only like random items, but more than one items in a crate. Let's see, I've also got a switch here. I've got all these ladders working. And then I've also got all these ladders working, because these are all the same textures from the game. If you can hear the sound, then you'll notice that the ladder sound has been taken away. And that's because I've started to strip out all of the sounds from Half-Life that you don't hear in System Shock, because it's unnatural, like the footsteps. Since you don't hear footsteps in System Shock, you won't hear footsteps in this mod either. So yeah, and I'll show you over here. I should be able to get into a really good dark area. And if you notice, you might have to full screen it to see it, but if you look carefully, you'll notice that you can still see. It's still seeable, but it's so dark that it's almost not. Because I can't stand a pitch black map. I can't. But as long as there's some semblance of light in it, then that's fine. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. I guess the only example that I can try to give is like when I was playing Doom 3, the only game that I could think of off the top of my head that has a really harsh blackness when it's completely dark, is that you can't see anything. So when monsters are coming near you, there's not even a fear like building up to a scare moment, because it's just right there and you can't see it, and it's more annoying than anything else. I don't know, it drives me crazy. Leave a comment below. Let me know if it drives you crazy as well. Repulsion lifts. Repulsion lifts are an interesting problem, because I can do a proper repulsion lift effect in the Source Engine, again, because the Source Engine is superior, but Gold Source really doesn't have any... Okay. Sorry, I thought it was supposed to be making a noise for a moment there. Gold Source doesn't really have the same flexibility, because it's really limited in how it handles like physics and objects and that. So what I decided to do for the gold source engine is just drop the gravity down to like a small value. That way, when you drop into it, you don't die by being, pulled down at extremely high speeds. But then the gravity's dropped enough so that way, no matter which repulsion lift you're at, you should be able to go ahead and jump out. Like I said, for the source engine, I've got it set up properly, but I don't know how to switch between two states, because when it's green, it's supposed to push you up, where if it's red, you're supposed to be able to descend properly. Not certain how I'm going to fix that with the source engine yet, but we'll see what we might be able to do with that. Worst case scenario, I might be able to do some kind of a even if it's a really ghetto kind of workaround, some kind of a workaround to the issue. And I've also got the grading back here. There's still a lot of objects that I don't have in the game yet. A lot of things that still need to come into play. Obviously, like for example, the gold source engine does not handle animated textures very well. It does them, but it cycles them too fast to be like aesthetically pleasing, I guess to say. I mean, it's great for like a static screen or whatever where it doesn't even matter, but like for a monitor where it has to hold on to a single still image for a few moments before going to the next, it creates a problem. Again, not a problem on the source engine, but the same rule applies for like these textures that have backlights, like where either a wire's burning or a light's blinking. Gold source doesn't really have the flexibility unless I just make it spaz through all of the colors really quickly. Again, the source engine doesn't have that problem because it's superior. I don't think there was anything else I need to go over on this, but I will let you know that I'm also working on the music. As you probably saw on my channel, I've got my first medical clip uploaded. It's not the clip. It's not the clip that I'm going to be using when the time comes. I put it up there to see how well it's going to sound. Because I had to cut it right between the points where it switches tracks, and as far as the actual track switching and the sounds of the music, I don't think it sounds bad. Just the compilation is just, I don't know, atrocious. So I'm gonna try to do another recording to get the rest of the tunes that I need to help fix the problem. And I'm still having that lighting problem right there. One of the things I've been trying to do is figure out a way to completely block light without blocking character movements, and I haven't been able to do it, so I've got problems like bleeding effects here. And of course, if anybody knows how I can block lights without blocking the characters from moving into that area, let me know, because that'll actually fix quite a few of my lighting problems. Because that way I could put them wherever I need to help keep lights from bleeding through closed doors and that kind of thing. Because nothing drives me more bonkers than light flooding through a door that's closed. And if I can't go with the dynamic light source to fix the problem, then blocking the light and adjusting the light on both sides to make it seem more natural seems like the better choice. And of course, if you can come up with an actual map, like some kind of a map file that shows that kind of thing in action, and I think it's worthy enough to be able to use on the mod, I'll give you credit for it. As you can tell, I kind of need a little bit of help on a few areas that I haven't been able to do myself. But then again, I'm still learning a bit with the editor. Like I said, a lot of this I don't mind rebuilding anyways, because I was able to fix a lot of problems with the original build besides the fact that it was backwards. This way, all of the textures are properly aligned. This way, I didn't have to do any extra mathematical number crunching to figure out where's going to be the best points. So I may have had to rebuild it all, but that's okay because it works. However, just because I had to do that doesn't mean I didn't still keep part of my levels. Let me see if I've got it on here. I don't seem to have it. That's weird. That's okay. I might have deleted it a while ago. But I'm also going to show you this really quickly too. I wanted to map, but you know how you get burnt out from doing something. You're sitting there working on it, and eventually you just say, I don't want to do this anymore, before you throw a fit and rage quit and don't touch the project for 3 years. What I decided to do is I wanted to experiment with some multiplayer stuff, because I think System Shock can do multiplayer. I don't know how well it can do multiplayer. I was thinking possibly have like a bunch of different types of bots come at each other, balance out the difference between their attack and their weaknesses to try to make a unique multiplayer type experience, because I think System Shock has potential because it can combine both the first-person shooter aspect along with the cyberspace aspect. Let's say Like the team leader, for example, can go into cyberspace and hide a data module somewhere, and it'll be a little bit of a maze of a cyberspace, not too terribly much. But then if a person wants to come in to score, you have to jump into cyberspace, steal their data module wherever it is they hid it, and once you have the data module, you have to run back and return it to your base. Excuse me. So this was kind of built with that idea in mind. Keep in mind this is a just sort of like a throw together. I actually took MS Paint, threw a whole bunch of dots on MS Paint, and then just kind of connected them all together until they kind of look like it would be something of interest. And then from there, I kind of threw it all together so that way it would all actually come out as some kind of a playable map. Plus, this also allows me to continue mapping and keep my skills fresh on mapping without, again, burning myself out. Because now I'm not just copying, pasting, copy, pasting, copying, pasting. I'm actually, working with textures, working with alignments, shuffling stuff around to try to make it work. So it did help add a little, I guess, variety to the monotony. So I definitely want to do some changes to this place because there's a lot of just, I don't know, like weird, not really well fitting stuff. I kind of like the way the textures work together. I do enjoy the aesthetic feel of it, but as far as like a high combat multiplayer thing, I don't think it works only because of the way the levels are outlined. So if anybody who has an appreciation for System Shock and think you might be able to do a pretty halfway decent multiplayer map, let me know and we'll see what happens. Design even if you are just creative and an artistic style, if you take like MS Paint and you just kind of draw up a bunch of blocks together and throw a level type item together, and if it's something that looks like it might work out well, then again I'll consider maybe even building a multiplayer map, and staying in touch to make it as good as we possibly can. So since I don't have science level on here, I will go back to medical level, and I'll try to show you what I was going to show you before. Um, I'm working on remapping science level as well. It's almost finished. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's about a quarter of the way done. So I just have to sit down with a good grind session and get it all out. But what I was going to show you, the only thing that I haven't pulled over yet, but the only thing that was a good addition was how it was going to handle elevator, since the panel comes up as an MFD item and you have to select it from the display. What I decided to do instead was split the up and down arrow on the elevator, and of course when you push up it puts you up, and when you push down it takes you down. And of course, if you can't go up anymore, then it comes up with the shaft is broken, which is probably for the best that it's not on here because medical level's not rigged to handle science level's elevator. And last time when I did this, I pushed the button and I crashed Half-Life, so I try not to do that anymore. Because especially when you're recording video and you got it full screened, and yeah, it was pretty messy. It was kind of a mess, but anyways, that's the status that we're at so far. It's still very much in development. I'm still very much working on it. Currently, I've got a little bit more free time because I'm still trying to find a job, and I'm amazingly surprised how hard it's been to actually find one. But, and when I'm not out searching for a job, then I'm usually here trying to work on this and get it done a little bit more. So at least now that medical level's done, it gives me a little bit more freedom, a little bit more, I guess, flexibility, since I don't have to sit there and wish that it was all done, so that way I can start doing other stuff. And hopefully science level will follow through, and hopefully from there I should be able to offer an actual download link for another release for Half-Shock. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're interested in a project like this.